Well, happy brunch. Happy Sunday to all. Thank you for your patience while I got the stream up and running. Ooh, my backlight's a little crazy over there. Everybody hearing me okay? How's the sound? Yes, your girl is back. Gather round, people. It is our get together where we're all going to have a nice brunch. Yes. Let me take a sip of water. I'm feeling a little schwitzy. Is that what they say? I'm feeling a little schwitzy, a little humid. I got out of the shower like I usually. I like to I really take my time on Sunday. I try to get myself into a really good space. Let me just check to make sure everything is okay with the feed. Let's see here. Just want to make sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. So many things you've got to check on. Yeah, everything is fine. Great. Okay, so while everybody is finding the stream, we can go ahead and get started. I am the Oracle of Whimsy. Hello, the alter ego of the good doctor, the one and only Dr. Whimsy, the greatest naturopathic doctor who ever lived in this apartment, I'm pretty sure. Still haven't coalesced the data, but it's a theory I'm working on. Anyway, so a little bit about what's going on today. Our book of the month. We do have a book of the month club. The book of the month. I actually have to grab it. Hold on a second. Our book of the month is Stay Sober and Save the World, The Cave Woman Way. Yay. It's written by Ellen Archer. We do select books monthly as part of our Book of the Month club. We select books of relatively, usually unknown authors who watch this channel. Basically, we read each other's books. We promote books inside the community. Anyway, Ellen Archer is part of our little, she is a fellow sensitive person. She's actually out of Oregon. She's an Oregon writer. This is the second Oregon writer we have featured for the show, which is rather exciting. But anyway, Stay Sober and Save the World is the story of a woman who's battling alcoholism, and she begins to communicate with a cave woman via automatic handwriting. It's a fascinating tale. It's a tale of time travel and spiritual lessons. And I strongly recommend this book. So we will be getting together our book club on July 25th at 6 p.m. live after the end of Taco Tuesday. And hopefully the author, Ellen Archer, will be able to join us as we explore some of the questions and issues regarding this fascinating work. And again, we thank her for writing the book, and we look forward to discussing it. Okay, so other announcements. Let's see. I got to make sure I get to all the announcements for everybody. I want to give gratitude to all the latest members. Thank you so much. We have a couple new members, and I just want to give gratitude to those of you who are members. We have a membership program here for $2.99 a week. You can join our private get together on Saturday where we do collective readings, private readings, and share basic wisdom about self-care. We call it our spa day. our private salon, and the private salon is on Saturday. So that's at the Fairies and Angels level for $2.99. So hopefully you can join us. If you're interested in learning heart-centered remote viewing and you want to join the heart-centered remote viewing community, we would absolutely love to have you join us. We meet Wednesdays at 6 p.m. For private videos live with members. It's only $9.99. I am developing a course which people can pay a lump sum for, but that probably won't be coming out until next year. It's something I have to work out with our creative director. I give a shout out to Debbie Brady. She is the talent manager for the show, and she is also our creative director. So she and I are going to be working on putting out a 10-part teaching series on HCRV for people that don't want to do the membership, but they want to have the actual video. So that's $9.99, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. at the Elders and Empath levels. Also, we have benefactors. If you want to be a benefactor of the program, of the channel, that's $99 a month. And it comes with a free consultation with me once a month. And of course, you get to decide what day of the month you want to have your consultations. And we focus on things like the fact that I'm a medical intuitive, I'm a naturopathic doctor, I'm also a remote viewer. And so that's your time, and you get to have that for yourself once a month. In addition to that, you're also going to be able to get all the other benefits. So that's our package. Also want to give a shout out again to Debbie Brady for designing our merch. We now have merch. It's another great way to support the channel. And finally, per your request, yes, Dr. Whimsy, let's build a forest. As you know, over the last 5 years, we have raised millions of dollars in partnership with Google for charities that we feel are doing good in the world. One of the charities that we've selected is AmericanForest.org. We found out about the charity through Vice President Al Gore. It's one of the charities that he supports. It's also one of the charities that our President Joe Biden supports. And actually, some of the initiatives that President Joe has been signing, Biden has been signing, some of that will benefit the work of AmericanForest.org. For every dollar donated to AmericanForest.org, the money will be going towards forest management and the planting of trees. So just think about it. Every time you put in a dollar, you're pushing out another pine. You're basically giving birth to another pine. So again, we planted 27,000 trees over the last 5 years, not in one area. Those trees were planted through AmericanForest.org and also through an organization, I think, what was it called? Women Trees Organization. We planted several thousand through them as well. So the trees are planted all over the place, including the monarch butterfly program that they're doing in Baja California and on into parts of Mexico, as well as rebuilding fire damage in California, Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and I believe they're also helping in parts of Canada. And I see we already have some lovely donations from all you great people. Thank you, Joyce Pietris, for the $5 donation. Anonymous for the $5 donation. Donald Lampert, $20 donation. He has just given birth to 20 pines, so I think somebody needs to buy him a drink. It's got to be intense. Joyce Pietris just gave birth to 5 baby trees. Mazel tov to you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera around. Tell me who you are, where are you coming from, what you eating, what you drinking, what's your story, what are you having for brunch? I can tell you that I am having a lovely time hanging out with you. I'm having some delicious coffee, courtesy of 1111, a nice ice water. I've been eating a lot of fruit because it's pretty hot. So that's kind of my breakfast right now. It's just a fruit salad. Hi, Siamira K. Good to see you here. Welcome. Hi, Debbie M. Thank you for being a member. Much appreciated. Joel Tilson is in the house. He is the virtual floor director for the Sunday show. Please, if you have any questions, he is walking the floor with a virtual mic, and he is the person to go to if you have any questions you want us to address. Hi, Jill Linda. Hi, Yolanda Arenada. Good to see you. Melody Harmon is in the house, keeping us kosher and keeping us safe. Thank you for your help today. Hi, Patrice Kelly. Thank you for your membership. Hi, Desiree Robato. Hi, K Travel. Great to see you here. I was thinking about you yesterday. Hopefully you're doing well. Lisa Prokel, hello. And the Copper Broom is here. Well, my goodness, so many trees are already being born. Mary Gorham has given birth to 5 trees. Ginny Basigalopa has given birth to 20. Ooh, Yolanda is having cinnamon toast. I do love me a good slice of cinnamon toast. Mm-hmm. Geocosmic Valentine, an amazing remote viewer and astrologer, is here, keeping us kind, and we thank you for that. Catherine Bush has donated $20 and given birth to 20 trees, and she kept her figure. I don't know how the girl does it. Let's talk. Is everybody ready for the remote views? Speak now or forever hold your peace. We'll be doing the remote views for about 10-15 minutes. Then after that, we will do the empath prayer. We'll do a collective reading. Then we will do the blitzes. We always do the empath prayer prior to doing the collective, but we don't do it prior to giving the remotes. And the remotes usually take about 15 minutes to 20, depending upon how many questions you have. Thank you, Sil, for that lovely donation. And congratulations on having 23 babies. Okay, so people want to talk about Vanessa Trump. If I could please clarify what the hell is going on with Vanessa Trump and the interview that happened with Aubrey O'Day, and people just want to talk about it. Okay, so what did I say? What took place with Vanessa Trump? Why did I hold the story? I didn't say her name until, what was it, 3-4 months ago? Was it 6 months ago when basically this is what happened with Don Jr. Don Jr. was not the nicest husband. You know, he had cheated on his wife. He also had a pretty intense affair with Aubrey O'Day. Now, one of the things that we teach with heart-centered remote viewing is we want you to put yourself in the shoes completely of another human being, because this is an empathy experiment. And of course, it's not perfect. We always have to get past our own biases. But theoretically, if it's done properly and you've done HCRV exactly how you're supposed to, right? It's a 5-step technique. Then you've put your ego on the shelf. You're able to look at things objectively like a scientist, and you're able to put the pieces together. So in the altered state and heart-centered remote viewing, the question came up of who leaked the emails from Don Jr.'s computer. So in those leaks, somebody had gotten access to Don Jr.'s email account, and they had uncovered emails between Don Jr. and the Russians about meetings that were taking place in Trump Tower that suggested collusion. So what came out with Aubrey O'Day was the other side of that, what it was to be Don Jr., what it was to be Aubrey O'Day when this whole thing was going on. But I was interested in being Vanessa Trump. I was Vanessa Trump, and how I felt, what the level of hatred that I have for my husband. The fact that he would even say to his mistress, "Oh, I know how to make her happy. I'll just give her another baby," after I've given him 5 children. The hatred I feel for this man, the blatant lack of respect, the fact that he thinks I'm trapped with his kids, so what the hell am I going to do because I'm trapped? And then shoving it in my face and shoving his mistresses in my face. I had enough. So I seized his phones, per what Aubrey O'Day said. Yeah, that's right. I did. Where's my phones? I took his phones because I'd had enough with the affairs, and because this was the worst. And I started collecting information for the divorce. And according to the FBI, because Here's the situation as Vanessa Trump. You ever seen the Millionaire Show where you can guess the answer? You can remove 50% of the answers in case you might get it wrong, or you can phone a friend. That's basically what it is to be Vanessa. So I was looking through as Vanessa when I went into the remote, trying to find crap on this mistress of his, looking through their love notes, and oh my, oh my, oh my. What is this crap? I accidentally come upon these emails. This is the collusion crap. This shit is true. What the hell is this? This is outside my pay grade. I just want to get a good divorce. I want to protect my kids. After everything you did to me, I don't want you to fucking touch me again. Do whatever the hell you want. I'm going to take care of my family. I'm going to protect myself. So what I did was I called I called a friend. I called a family friend. I phoned a family friend. I was in a crisis. He was a federal judge. I told him my situation. He was very compassionate. We looked at everything. My lawyer looked at everything. And then they contacted the FBI for me because that was what they advised me to do. And then I was told by the FBI that I wasn't going to get into any trouble at all because I'm your wife. It's my property. What are you going to do? Tell me I stole my stuff? We're on a family phone plan. It's the family computer. So the feds told me, you can't do crap to me because I'm your wife. So I have every right to go through the family computer and everything else. And if I want to download everything, and if I want to take your computers and hand it to phone home, call a family friend, Dawn, Pookie, how you doing, Pookie? Did you have a good time, Pookie? Right? So the family friend, the judge, he contacted his people at the feds, and then the feds took the information, which they did say was very important, and then they contacted Vanessa. She was deposed. She was given immunity. She handed everything over to the feds. They told her that nobody would ever find out it came from her. Her children were protected. She found a lot more crap than that. She got the divorce settlement she wanted, and she did what she had to do to protect her family. And quite frankly, her father-in-law, Don Sr., knows everything, and he doesn't entirely blame her because the other thing that came out was that Don Sr. really liked Vanessa, and he thought his son really screwed up. You really screwed up. It's the art of the deal, right? Trump was a federal informant. He did what he had to do to protect his business. He probably looked over at Vanessa. How you doing? You taught us how to do it, old man. It's the art of the deal. That's the story of Vanessa Trump. You guys want to talk about it? Do you think she had a problem with it? Do you have a problem with this story? Is there any part of this story that makes you think, nah, that didn't happen? Sure, she was going through all of his documents, but she just skipped all of that stuff. She just buried it and moved on. She had access to all that information, but she didn't do anything. No, she would never call a family friend to protect herself, to protect her family, and build leverage in her divorce. Or it's a case of Occam's razor. I will leave the audience to decide. Okay. L'chaim, l'chaim, everyone. A lot of stuff is going down in August. I mean, this is what I can say to all of you is that a lot of stuff is going down in August. Yes, Trump is going to be contained by August. That's the direction the feds are moving into is containment. I want to move on now to the second remote, which has people really freaking out. And that has to do with the fact that the conclusion of the report that I'm giving you, I treat you as if you're the client that hired me. This is basically how it works in my private practice. So I'm going to treat it like that, and that's how I treat it when I give you these reports. So, the conclusion of my report is that the FBI stole the 2016 election. You guys want to talk about it? Some of you were frustrated, some of you were crying because you knew it was true and you knew there was nothing we could do about it. So you started just crying. I know because some of you called me. Let's begin, shall we? Okay, so here's a couple things that happened that we know about. We know that Rudy Giuliani, in an interview with CNN back, and here's how we figured it out. So in 2019, basically what happened is 2016, when the election was going on, 2 days prior to the FBI leak, Rudy Giuliani said that he knew about it. He also gave a heads up to CNN and the press that something big was coming down the pipes. And that's because Rudy Giuliani had a relationship with the New York FBI field office. So historically, he was former FBI. So historically, what Giuliani was doing in his private practice was he was using FBI resources in order to help high-profile clients like Donald Trump. So he knew about the information at the New York field office because he had informants. This is the conservative version. But what we're starting to see in the remote is that he is the one that created the story, planted the story, and then paid people inside the FBI to manufacture the story of Hillary Clinton and the emails. There was an arrest, I believe it was January, of Charles Mcgonigal. He took $225,000. He's a retired head of the New York field office. Again, we're talking about compromising the New York field office. So again, we have a problem with the New York field office. Charles Mcgonigal was arrested for taking $225,000 bribe from Oleg Deripaska. He was linked back to bribes. August 2017 to September 2018, there was money transfers being linked back to Oleg Deripaska. And the head of the FBI field office, had also been linked to shell companies and was working to help Deripaska remove sanctions placed against him by the feds. So basically, there's also a relationship with Giuliani and the mob, Giuliani and Deripaska. And so everything is starting to point to the fact that the New York headquarters were compromised, and that the head officer working with Russian sanctions was on the take. And so everything is pointing to the fact that the New York headquarters were not only compromised, but that they aided and abetting in stealing the Russians and stealing the 2016 election. I don't think you can look at all this data, given the fact that Giuliani used to work there and he's going back and forth, hiring people and using, by the way, FBI resources to do it, to help his client. And if we figured it out, there's no way that the New York Times and the Washington Post, that has a lot more resources than we do, hasn't figured this out. So that's an issue, right? Well, I want, well, I've said, and I stand by what I said, I want hearings. I want the FBI, this is what I told you guys 5 years ago, sitting in front of the Senate, answering questions about how this happened, because it's looking like the FBI is manipulating elections. Certainly, the New York field office did. But the question I want to know is, how bad is this? We know that the Pentagon has been compromised with Charles Flynn and his brother, right? Michael Flynn. Now we're looking at real solid evidence that the New York field office was very much involved in this. And it goes back again to the real investigation is Homeland Security. Yeah. Yes, Jeffrey, we can do that when we do the blitzes. All of that stuff can be done when we do the blitzes. So those are the remotes I have for you. I don't know how you feel. If you guys disagree with me and say, yeah, those are just the correlation does not mean causation, Dr. Anderson, but I think we're really looking at causation. I think it's be really hard for me at this point, given what I'm looking at objectively, to not conclude that the whole entire thing with Hillary Clinton was fabricated and manufactured by Giuliani using FBI New York headquarters in order to manufacture a fake story and steal an election. And that, to me, warrants hearings at the very least. So that's why I said that. Do I think that Charles and Michael Flynn, who compromised the Pentagon, right? So we have compromised Pentagon. We've got a, now what about Homeland? What about what was going on with children at the border? We have serious security breaches. And that's why I've been really cautiously saying to people, let's not get fixated on Donald Trump when we've got bigger fish to fry. How could there be bigger fish than Donald Trump? It's the network. It's these networks. The real rigged election was 2016, Joel. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Okay, well, I'm ready to do the empath's prayer if you guys are, unless you have something else you need to say. Pull your hair out some more, cry, bang your head, sing kumbaya. I don't know how to help the community feel better now that the facts are the facts, other than to say we have to keep reiterating this over and over and over again and put pressure on media that's much bigger. This is a small channel, I know y'all think I'm special, but it's less than 23K, right? But hopefully we can get enough of a buzz. When we put the pieces together, other people put the pieces together, people that are smarter than us, that have better resources, and hopefully we can put pressure on our government to demand accountability from our intelligence agencies that very much seem to be responsible for what happened in 2016. How deep it goes, we're not going to know until we have hearings and when we start publicly discussing how Homeland was compromised. Do you think that's why they're going after Mayorkas? Because he's investigating the investigators that were part of this whole thing. Is that why they're making so much trouble for him? Because it was his job, per request by DOJ, to begin investigating these people. If you recall, when we got into records on DOJ over investigations on the treatment of migrants in Texas, the behavior from Ron DeSantis, they had sent it back to Mayorkas to do an internal investigation. So obviously he's not their favorite person right now, is he? So what do? You try to get him fired to stop the investigation. You try to destroy his integrity in order to stop the investigation. You harass him in order to stop the investigation. What's the investigation? Let's take a look. What did it say? It said specifically that Charles Mcgonigal took $225,000 because he was a person who had been compromised as part of money laundering and shell corporations linked to Russians. He was one of the people on the mega boat. So now we have the head of the FBI field office headquarters in New York on mega yachts. I can hear the echo of your heads as they bang collectively on your brunch tables. And the only thing people can do is say, whimsy's crazy. You sound paranoid. And then you show them the data. And then people get quiet. And then they stop attacking you. They just disappear. I don't know. Maybe they process it. Maybe they go into counseling. I don't know. Yes. Why didn't the New York Times cover it? Why is everybody being so protective of what is so obvious to all of us at this point? To protect their informants inside those agencies? I don't know. Maybe. Let's do the collective. Let's do the empath's prayer in the collective. Upsetting, particularly once you get it and it becomes painfully obvious, and when you see it, you can't unsee it. Like the thing with Vanessa. What would you have done if you were her and you had 5 babies? That's what I say to people before they judge her. You put yourself in her shoes. She did what she had to do to take care of her family. She's fine. She told me she's dating somebody else. Evidently, she's been dating somebody for like 2.5 years. She's fine. All right, let's do the collective. I get attacked for this stuff, and I understand because people maybe they don't do remote viewing, and so they haven't put things together, and they haven't gone it. They don't understand the technique. And then once we show them the technique and we show them how we were able to bring it together, is there a relationship with Deripaska and Giuliani because the money was traced back to Oleg Deripaska, the New York field office. Giuliani, who used to, things come together very easily. It's pretty hard to unsee them once you see them. L'chaim, l'chaim. Cheers. All right, this is a collective reading for all of you that came today. Also, if you're watching on tape, that's absolutely fine. Take what you need from the reading that's of benefit to you. It's a collective. And if it sits on the table and you say, I don't like that particular dish, you can just pass it down, and maybe somebody else at the table can benefit from that message. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. Biden's going to Europe. The cluster bombs are a threat. He doesn't intend on using them. I went out a second. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Thank you. He's threatening them with cluster bombs to scare them. Oh, Daddy's going to use cluster bombs. They're negotiating peace and withdrawal, but not with Putin. Putin has to leave. If he doesn't leave, they'll take him out. Where you're at right now, I didn't mean to go into trance. I just, that kind of came in. People are exhausted. I feel collectively when I go into this energy that it's really the time of planting and rebirth. And you can kind of feel that energy with all of us, that we are kind of rebuilding from this nightmare. But it's not over in the sense that we have collectively been betrayed by the very people that we pay their salaries to protect us. And there is a feeling collectively by all of us of that horrible feeling that we have been betrayed by the people we have trusted, both in our personal lives. We've all experienced that. Maybe we've made mistakes ourselves, but it's just a general feeling that we are unbelievably exhausted by everything. So the 10 of Swords comes as the karma card. We are just exhausted by this whole thing. I will say also that this is a very intellectual time. You see this war happening with conservatives desperately trying to shut down knowledge. They're running desperately to shut down knowledge, dragging books out of schools. The level of desperation to be this afraid of science, to be this afraid of the scientific method, to be this afraid of logic. I have a joke. What is the one thing that is more powerful than that? The one thing that the Oracle of Whimsy bows down to, right? It's a kid's character I'm developing, the Oracle of Whimsy. Kids of all ages, right? So the character, the Oracle of Whimsy, we tell morality tales with that character, right? The character is one thing that the character has to bow to is the scientific method, right? So we joke around and we use HCRV and we come up with the cherry on top of what we think is going on based on logic, reason, and HCRV. But in the end, the one thing we always bow to is the scientific method, right? Because really it's the best game in town is the scientific method. And once you really understand the scientific method, you understand just how important it is to be able to look at things objectively. So the joke about the Oracle of Whimsy is that the character goes off and does whatever the hell they want, but ultimately must bow to the scientific method. So Hermit is about the ability to step back and look at things objectively from a distance, put a light on them, and to have your emotions be at a distance. This is something that we train professional empaths to do as remote viewers, to be able to step back, check yourself, be grounded. Also, if you take a look at the position of the Hermit, his positioning is very similar to HCRV. We want you grounded. If you're sitting on the ground, we say ass on the grass, right? We want your base accord to the earth. We want your second chakra engaged, like it would be in Tai Chi or dancing the floor, where you can slide the floor, where you can feel your second chakra engaged. We want your third chakra digesting the information. We want your sixth and seventh chakra open. We want your heart open. It's a specific way we want you to be when you're a remote viewer. It's that kind of open, objective ability to stand back and look at things without your personal spin. And that's something we see with the Hermit, this ability to stand back and look at something without putting yourself in the equation. And I think that's exactly what we have to do after coming out of something like this, is to just step back, put emotion aside, and try and see things objectively in order to see what our current situation is. The other thing that we're all looking at is, what are our partnerships? How do we build strong partnerships? Janet Yellen just got back from China, and she met with people in China to discuss policies about environmental protections. But the other thing that came up was the way that human beings are being treated in US companies that are based in China. So, what's the problem with that? When we outsource work, we put America's security at risk. I liken this to being in a relationship of domestic violence. Do you want the person who's abusing you to have more power or less power? And so America is going through that transition. The only way that America is going to be able to protect itself from its enemies and protect itself from countries that we feel vulnerable to is for us not to continue to fuel their economy with our businesses. And so one of the things that's come out that Janet Yellen has pointed out is, first off, you can bypass American human rights if your company is in China. So you don't have to pay a minimum wage. You don't have to give somebody basic human rights. And the money that China is making from US companies goes to fuel their military. So what these private companies have done is they have strengthened the Russian military. They have strengthened China's military at great risk to us. And so America has to ask itself, do you want to continue to outsource fueling countries that may be a threat to our future, or do you want to build up the economies here in the United States so that we are more self-sufficient? And this is a point that's been brought up a lot, often by conservatives, and it's something worth listening to. Do we want to be completely at the mercy of China for computer chips? How is this going to screw over Google's iPhone? Are we going to see anything past an iPhone 14 Plus? Probably not for a long time, because we are at the mercy of our enemies. And this is one of the things that we have to look at collectively and also in our private life. This is a lesson for you in your private life, what we are witnessing in American business. We have been betrayed by the very people we trusted. America, you do not need to be handing over your business, your finances to people who are using that money to go to war and threaten Taiwan, our ally, right? So what do? You pull back and you put your money towards strong businesses here in the United States that cannot be taken out by the enemy. You don't financially fund their terrorism or their threatening violence against us. So we've been betrayed. We have to find new ways of doing business. Regarding our importing and exporting, our relationships. But again, in our private life, we're seeing similar things. Who do you want to do? Who are your partners? Who are you at the mercy of? The person in debt is a slave to the lender. Are we a slave to the lender in China? Are you a slave to somebody? Your job? The student loan people, right? That's the only debt I have is student loans at this point. The strength of your partnerships, they should be evaluated. Who have you given your power to? What is above? Six of Wands. I see us moving towards victory in battle. Six of Wands is to win the war over the next 6 months. And again, what's happening in the microcosm can often be an expression of what's happening in the macrocosm. So we're moving towards victory on our side. Strong leadership. And again, these are cards that symbolize having a good head on your shoulder and being able to step back and look at things objectively. This is what I like about HCRV. It teaches us to be professional empaths and not just be reacting to whatever's in the atmosphere. What you're coming out of, financial stability and job opportunities for many of you. And I see travel as well. Huge growth in travel for many of you. Where you're at right now, power. Education, the scientific method, the ability to look at things objectively without being consumed by your own bias and emotion. That is how you take control of your situation. But there's a warning here, both for us and also for the nation, to be very careful about our partnerships. Who are we strengthening when we outsource? And do they have our best interest at heart? Others in relationship with us have dropped the sword. We take the sword. They have lost. We win, they lose. We win, they lose. Hopes and fears that we will be chained or trapped by others is a real fear that some of us have really been controlled. Invest in the green economy. The one thing you can trust is Gaia, right? Love me, care for me, and I will continue to grow abundantly. Harvest from the profits of maintaining and sustaining a healthy planet. That is the final outcome. We're headed in a very positive direction. We have a great president. Oh my God, look at that. Look what we defeated. This is the defeat. Look. War. I don't think people understand what Biden's doing, that he's playing a psychological game. The Russians are beaten to the point. First off, they surrounded them in Bakhmut, which is what they told us they were going to do. They did a lasso. They cut off their food supply. So now they're trapped in the middle of Bakhmut, starving to death. The only thing they can do is surrender to the Ukrainians, or they can starve to death. They're not going to sit there and battle in Bakhmut. It's not safe. Fine, just close them off and let them starve. When you're ready, you'll come out. So they're pretty beaten down, and the counteroffensive is only getting worse for them. And now Daddy Joe is in town, and he's saying, oh, and we're coming with the cluster bombs. You want to negotiate? Cluster bombs are coming. Daddy's coming, and he's got a big stick. You had enough? You had enough? Daddy's coming. He's bringing the... Oh! That's evil. Drones and cluster bomb? You ready to talk? Yeah, you gonna sign the peace thing? Huh? You gonna hand over your war criminals? Or I'm bringing the cluster bombs. That's what it looks like. Damn, does he know how to? I've never seen anybody that can negotiate like Joe. Oh my God! Because I was like, cluster bombs, that's so evil. And then I went in, and when I went into the remote with Biden, he was like, I was like, are we gonna do cluster bombs? It's like, probably not. Well, we could. That's naughty, Joe. I love it. Because it's a kind of psychological game that's going to save lives. They're going to freak out. They're going to run to the negotiating table, and no one's going to get killed. That's why he's a great president. We got to re-elect him, right? Okay, so whenever you guys give me the order, we will blitz away. I'm going to take my hat off because, ooh, it's sweating. Ooh, I love this hat, but after a while, look at that. Ooh. Good to see you guys. Oh my God. I think Sunday is my favorite show, though I'm starting to get partial to Taco Tuesdays. I don't know. Did I get the order to blitz? I don't know. Did I get the order to blitz away? Oh, time to take a glass of water before I get the order. A cluster bomb, it explodes in a chain like firecrackers. Boom, 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 boom. And so if you had a line of people hunkered down, the best thing is a cluster bomb, because you drop the cluster bomb and it wipes out everybody in the trenches, because it just goes down the trenches. So everybody would be taken out by a cluster bomb. So Daddy Joe is in town, and he's threatening they are already starving and trapped. You want the cluster bomb next? You're going to come out and surrender. Wagner, they can't pay Wagner anymore. So yeah, Wagner is dissolved, and also his troll farm is dissolved, and his catering company is dissolved because Russia's bankrupted. I think they'd be foolish not to negotiate with him because their military will be given the positioning of their military right now, and based on the remote views that I did, I would strongly urge them to surrender before it becomes reality. He will wipe them all out. Everybody in the trenches would be wiped out. They need to obviously they need to leave. No, I don't think it's going to get to that point. Crazy. All right, so let's go. We're going to go backwards, and I'll go from front to back, finding questions. Does that work for everybody? Russia leaving Africa. It's complicated because we are not all opposed to what Russia's doing and what China's doing. We need to break the Arab control of the Silk Road. It's been going on for too long. That's part of what this problem is, right? So the Arab countries control the trade, and then we do business with them, the West, because we want access to the trade. And it goes back to what Putin had said about when Russia was forced out of Crimea and when Odessa and all these other places, they lost profits. They lost the profits that were from the exports of the grain. They used to collect money from all those ports. So when they left, the profits from the ports, they took a huge hit. So from their perspective, from Putin's perspective, he's seen all this grain and all this money going out of all these ports that they used to have access to. So he got infuriated. I want my damn ports back. I want my trade back. I want my money back. We used to get a percentage from the grain sales. So it always goes back to that obsession where Putin felt like we had screwed him over in trade. But what Joel is saying is also really important, because if the only trade routes we have to deal with countries whose human rights we might have an issue with, Saudi Arabia, for example, with what they're doing in the Sudan, the Janjaweed, they also have private armies. Saudi Arabia, they sent private armies into North Sudan to rape and pillage the people of South Sudan, right? Controlling the trade routes. That was all Saudi Arabia with their private armies. So that's what's going on in Africa. People are fighting for trade. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. So the new trade routes, a lot of people think it's a good idea because this control is not necessarily good for the planet. We need less monopolizing of trade out of that area. All right, let's take a look. The deal with Libya was good for Africa that Russia made with Libya. It's the worst thing that Obama did in by his own admission, if you read his last book. Biggest mistake of his career, the worst thing he ever did was agree to bomb Libya to stop that trade route. Regarding the issues of trade and the trade routes, no, they want to salvage the train. The train, they're building train tracks. The main thing, Joel, is that the world supports the development of train infrastructure. He's building infrastructure inside Africa. So it goes back to what the people of Africa, the countries, if you talk to heads of Kenya, you see some of the interviews that are coming out, Liberia, etc., why they're doing business with China, why they're doing business with Russia, because they've been blocked. And the West has helped block Africa from getting ahead. And they have been supporting Saudi Arabia blocking trade. These people are trapped. They have no infrastructure. And we've been keeping Africa down. We don't want them to have infrastructure. So China came in. Russia came in and said, we'll build you trains. We'll build you an infrastructure. And so the African countries said, great. Libya said, great. What'd we do? We went and bombed it. It wasn't bad what Russia was trying to do. Well, the truth is that what Putin said is legitimate. We have been blocking trade. We've been blocking trade in Africa. We've been blocking trade in that part of the world, and we've been aiding and abetting the Arab control of the Silk Road and cashing in on it. Be patient. There's an opportunity for healing. Bottom line is that if it's your country, if you're an African country, it's your damn business if you want to buy a train system from Russia. How is it America's to come in? You're going to be the great white hope and tell me what to do in my country? And that's offensive. You didn't want us to have infrastructure. You kept us impoverished. You exploited Africa beyond belief, and now you're yelling at us because we said, hey, that looks like a pretty good train system. Well, we desperately need infrastructure. Oh, you've got to be frightened of the Russians. Are you going to build us an infrastructure? No, you bombed the infrastructure in Libya. Libya will never recover. Healing is coming. Archangel Raphael, be calm, be in your head regarding this issue of trade, train tracks, building. Yes, because it's the right thing to do. And because, yes, absolutely 100%, because we failed to do what we should have done for Africa. We should have invested in building up Africa, supporting Africa. We sinned pretty bad. That's the bottom line. We did it to ourselves. Stop worrying about Africa. That's the message. You don't need to be our mommy. You could have gotten the train contract. You could have gotten these contracts. Instead, you were more interested in building up your relationship with Saudi Arabia at Africa's expense, with people getting raped in the Sudan, legs being sliced, etc. And we supported it because they were our allies. Thank you for finally letting women be able to drive cars, by the way. Allies. Be patient regarding trade. 3 of Wands over the seas. Justice and healing will come to these trade routes. We must stop demonizing people that are simply wanting infrastructure and a decent life for themselves and their families. Reach across the aisle. Listen, put yourself in their shoes, lovers. Final outcome, justice will be done. Hang up. This is not bad for Africa that they finally get some infrastructure. Let us work with people and not against people. Let us stop demonizing people. Wasn't bad. Look, we don't like Putin, but Putin will be gone. And then these folks in Africa, these African countries will still need infrastructure. And Russia can be a great country. So keep the trade going. Keep building that infrastructure, because the truth is Saudi Arabia has too much power and they're a threat to human rights globally. All right. Hi, Water Lily. Please read on Israel and Palestine. Absolutely. What is the root cause of the conflict? Britain. It's the British fault. Will there ever be peace between them? Sure. We just have to be aware that it's all the fault of Britain. I know Israeli history very well. You know, we didn't even want a country originally. If you look at the writings of David Ben-Gurion, the first president of Israel, he was becoming a lawyer in Turkey. They wanted to be part of Turkey, and it was the Ottoman Empire, and things were a little tense, you know, under Turkish rule. The shooting at each other on the kibbutzes. The Palestinians and the Palestinian Jews, everybody was a Palestinian. That's another thing that people don't understand. It was Palestine. You had Palestinian Jews, Muslims, Druze, Christians, Coptics, and people fought. But you also had friends. But then the British come in after the end of the World Congress, and they take control, and then they start getting people to fight and kill each other. They started spreading rumors, which led to massacres. They fueled hatreds that didn't even exist, created hatreds that they started a fire. So it's really the fault of the British. They also blocked Jews from fleeing the Nazis in Europe and let them drown in the Mediterranean when they were swimming. Help us, help us. You know, it's all the fault of the British. I'm sorry, but it is. Let's see what will happen. You go to Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, you'll be shocked at what the British did. We would have had a Palestine with everybody living under one federal system, and none of these problems if the British hadn't done with it. We would have worked it out. We need to let the conflict go. Cooler heads must prevail. Star is over us and new growth. I've always said we need a federal government. It doesn't even have to exist in Israel. Some federal body that we agree to join that will unite the states of Palestine and Israel, and secular in nature, and that will protect all the citizens. Because this division thing, if you have separate states, it can never happen, by the way. You can never have two separate states, and they know it. It's a game. You have to have one federal government protecting all the states, secular. It can't work because within 5 minutes we'd have nuclear weapons pointed at each other and it would be a nuclear Armageddon, which is unfortunately what the problem is between Pakistan and India. You had two separate states, which was a disastrous situation, and now they're pointing nukes at each other. And everybody knows the same thing will happen if you wind up with a separate Palestine and Israel, because Israel already has nukes. The solution is not to divide, but to unite through an overseeing body that we shake hands and we come together under some type of federal system, and we work out our security issues. And then you can travel back and forth, and just like you have the United States. That's the solution, and it will happen someday. But we can never have two separate states. It didn't work for India and Pakistan, and it won't work for Israel. The solution is unification, not division. The final outcome. We are our own worst enemy. Yeah. We have to put emotion aside, have a separate body. And if Gaza doesn't want to participate, they don't have to participate. But it would be great if we could get representation from everybody and form something. Also, secular marriage. Israel only has Orthodox Jewish marriage, and a lot of people don't want that. So it would be great also if we had a federal body that would allow for secular marriage. Debbie Brady, can you read on superseding indictments? Probably, yeah. Debbie, I would think so because of just where the energy is. Last night was pretty freaky. I did some crazy remotes. It's looking in that direction. Yeah, I strongly encourage anyone, if you haven't been to Israel yet, to go to Yad Vashem. Half of the horror of the Holocaust is devoted to what the British did in Palestine. Thousands of Jews killed. They were swimming on boats. They were hitting them over the head with mallets. People were cracking their heads and leaving them to drown. Children. They killed tens of thousands of Jews. They have a lot of blood on their hands. Unfortunately, that's what happened. They did the same thing in India. A lot of blood on their hands there too. 500,000 people died, and the British were responsible. Okay, the indictments. Be patient over the issue of indictments. Yes. And August is quite significant. Over the next 30 days, there are significant indictments coming. Yeah, very true. I haven't been keeping up on this because I've been over in Europe, but yes, Debbie. Yeah. So very patient. evidence, the goods, money laundering. Man, I'm telling you, you guys, it's all about the money laundering. Like that guy, Mcgonigal, out of the New York headquarters that was compromised by Deripaska. It's all about money. Look at the consequences. Yeah, probably, Joel. They're probably Debbie. They're saying within 30 days. Yeah, probably. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I mean, these are crazy times. And I mean, I feel like I have to have healthy boundaries too, because I'm so curious. I'll jump in like, oh, let me go look, let me go look, let me go look. And I just, yeah, it's addictive, right? Because but you gotta create, you gotta stop yourself, right? If you're remote, once you learn how to do this, you just want to do it all the time, right? I love Britain. I used to live in Britain. I'm half British. Grandfather was a Godwin. It's an old blue blood family line, Godwins. Can't get more British than the Godwins. Harold Llewellyn Godwin. That is my grandfather. Yes. My grandmother was a nice Jewish girl. Yeah. So no, they didn't marry. It was a love affair, right? But yeah, I think I have got, it's kind of a love hate thing, right? My dad wasn't Jewish. My dad was British. So yeah, I mean, things we love about Britain, but what they did in Palestine, not so much. Trump's biggest fear is that he is going to be incarcerated within the next 30 days. So that is his health concern. A judgment is coming down against him. He's in a state of grief. He fears incarceration. He's being asked to cooperate. What do you think, you guys? You are pretty good at, yeah. So I have a question for you guys. Would you give Trump a deal? Given how big this investigation is, given what we know about the New York field office, given what we know about Homeland, given what we know about the shell corporations and everything else, the nightmare that is this whole. But if it meant arresting the people responsible, finally getting Deripaska behind bars, I want Deripaska in the head, quite frankly. But what if it meant getting the oligarchs to go to the Hague? Even then, you wouldn't do it? Okay. Well, I think they're going to cut some kind of deal with him in order to. It's interesting that Giuliani is doing his thing, because this was, Giuliani talked about his insurance policy. Well, I'm just going to let everybody know that the feds were in on it, right? How's that for an insurance policy? Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. No deal. Okay, does anybody know if is Linda or any of the other readers on? Because I'm past the hour. I want to respect everybody's time. I know Linda was on yesterday. Is she back on today? At the upcoming NATO meeting in Europe, will they vote? Turkey is holding it up. That Turkey's now joined, is allying with the West. I think they've broken with Putin, and so has China. Putin doesn't have, and that's why I'm saying, well, we got the remote that it would be 2 months, 3 weeks to 2 months, and I just said 2 months, 3 months, 3 weeks, 2 months. So I think I'm pretty good on the timeline. So within the next 30 days, probably it'll be, it's already winding down. But let's take a look about NATO and Sweden. I would assume so, yeah. What an ancient country. You know, one of the things you feel when you go into Sweden is you feel just how ancient a culture and civilization Sweden is. It's very ancient. You know, we look at the archaeological digs and some of the cool stuff we're finding in the Scandinavian communities in terms, but it's just this ancient, wise culture. It's depicted as the high priestess, just this unbelievable nation, and a decision being made by NATO. There are some concerns, but the answer is yes. Ace of Pentacles is a gift, so um, yeah, they. They will be accepted into NATO. In terms of timeline, I can see if I get a wand or something that can. There it is. Patience. August. Yeah, they'll probably be. They'll be offered ability to go in by August. Are we done? Do we need to keep going? You need me to stay with you a little longer? Thank you, everyone who's been donating to our charity today. We are raising funds for AmericanForest.org. For every dollar that you donate to AmericanForest.org, a tree will be planted along with forest management. Trees are planted in North America, which includes parts of Mexico and Canada. We have planted 27,000 trees so far, and we would love to plant 27,000 more. Hey, why not 100,000? Why not a billion? Do you guys have goals? What are your goals? What are your goals for tree planting for this channel? How many trees would you like us to plant? That's the question. It's your channel. Oh, Lineagy's on for members only. Oh, okay. Okay, I like to, also, I'm a fan. I like to go and watch her show too. Okay, so I'll stay a little longer. I just don't, I don't like to interfere with other people's show. Okay, Navalny, let's do it, people. Oh, thank you, Anonymous, for giving birth to 50 trees. Navalny could be released within 6 months. It's based on his attorneys. He was given help by various different attorneys, and it looks like some of his attorneys are working with the State Department, etc. It looks like he had a mediator coming in. So over the seas, possibly international help. They're negotiating an international release. Concerned that he'll be trapped there, but you can see his final outcome is 6 of Wands. It's very possible that Navalny will be released. He's being kept alive because he's a really important negotiating tool for the West. It's not wise to kill people if you think that you can negotiate them in a prison swap or something like that, and that's what happens. It's a judgment in his that supports him within 6 months. I could be wrong, but it's looking like he'll be out in 6 months. Okay, you guys, that was a lot of fun. We've raised we planted 220 trees. Yay! Did you guys have a nice brunch? Yeah? Some nice toast and tea, maybe? Some finger sandwiches? Yeah? Anything that I wanted? Is anybody here eating something that before we close today, you want to brag about your amazing brunch? Any of you eating in a restaurant right now? We extend to the four corners of the earth. And so it's always interesting to see where somebody is and what they're eating, and are they eating in a restaurant? I love when you guys go to restaurants and you don't want to eat by yourselves, and so you guys will like turn your phone on and then you'll order. I get a kick out of that when you tell me, and you guys are eating some really nice brunch somewhere, and you're at our brunch table, but you're in a location like a restaurant. I really enjoy that. Yeah. You know what I've been craving? Those Japanese breakfasts I had when I was in Japan. They have this thick English toast. It's like the English tea toast. Remember those, the bread we get in England? That's the big tea toast bread. They have that, and sometimes they'll melt cheese on it. Coute monsieur is sometimes made with that type of thick bread. But they give you these blue yam sweetened paste, and you put it on the buttered toast. Oh my God, it's so good. And I had it when I was in Japan, and I want it again so bad. It's the thick British toast that we have where you bite into it. It's like bread that's sliced an inch thick, and then you toast it and you put butter on it, and then you create it's like a sweet yam paste, and you smear that. Oh my God, it was so good. I had it every day when I was in Kyoto. I had it in Kyoto. Yeah, it was so good. All right. I'll see you guys later. All right. Tuesday for Taco Tuesdays. It'll be a lot of fun. Texas toast is the bomb. Also, British tea toast and Heinz Heinz baked beans. Love me some Heinz baked beans. Yeah. All right. See you all. Be well. See you next time.